Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you live from Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week so far. Hi Janil, hi Maksud, hi Carolina. This is a members chat class, of course. Everybody is welcome to watch, and we are looking at a new writing task 2 question today, and we are going to write a band 9 essay while discussing the planning, the thinking, and the structural and content components of this essay. Hi Abhishek, hi Rajveer, hi Nick Hill. For those of you who haven't done so yet, please visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. We help thousands of students every month to reach their IELTS goals. And for general IELTS, same idea, visit us at gieltshelp.com, where we have lots and lots of materials to help you improve your English and communication skills, to get those higher band scores, and of course to fit in better in your school and in your English speaking surroundings. This is the academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join us there. And this is the general IELTS website here. You can click that big red button to join there. Students, if you have questions, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. I will gladly answer your inquiries. And right now, let's get into some task 2, and then later today, we'll do some listening practice with everyone. That'll be in about 90 minutes, and everybody will be able to join that chat class. Here we go with today's writing question. Nice to see many more of our members in the class on time. Ois, Mahi, Hassan, Abhishek. Good to see you, Nick Hill. All right, here we go. So let's do this. Step number 1, read the question really carefully. Kind of the same idea as with the speaking part 2 cue card. You just really want to slow yourself, really center yourself, focus on the question, think about exactly what it's asking from you. Here we go. IELTS task 2 writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Definitely spend the 40 minutes. Some people believe that people who read books can develop more imagination and language skills than those who prefer to watch TV. To what extent do you support this opinion? Write at least 250 words. Quite an interesting question, quite a provocative question as well. So let's do this. Okay. What's the topic? What are we talking about when we read this? What do you think we're talking about here? Well, when you read this question, what are we discussing specifically? Can anybody tell me that? What the topic is? Maksud says TV versus reading a book. I don't think so, Maksud. I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, very good. Rajveer says it's about developing imagination and language skills. And Maksud, that's the controlling idea, whether people who do it through books have an advantage over people who do it through TV. Very good. Now, Maksud, threat not. If you don't get the topic right away, what should you do? So members, what do you want to do just to make sure that you don't accidentally misdiagnose the topic and the controlling idea? Okay. So Rajveer correctly says the topic is developing imagination and language skills. Yeah, that's what we're really talking about here. Okay, that's right, Abhishek. You paraphrase, okay? So that's one of the benefits of paraphrasing, is that it gives you a higher level of probability that you're going to accurately identify the topic and the controlling idea. Okay? Okay, sure. So we're kind of doing a little bit of forward and back step here. I'm just taking a little bit of a different approach today. First of all, to keep it all interesting for you, and also to reassure you or to really encourage you for paraphrasing, for the value of paraphrasing, right? Okay, so paraphrase this question for me in your own words, members. So write this in your own words. Write it with some synonyms, maybe some grammar paraphrasing, maybe a little bit of descriptive paraphrasing. I knew you would get it, Maksud, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so paraphrase it. Maksud says, few people feel that individuals who gather information through books can advance more in visual fantasy and dialect than those who choose watching TV. To what extent do you agree? Yeah, Maksud, I like the word fantasy. Language, it's a little bit tricky to accurately paraphrase. Language is really just language. Perhaps communication skills for language, it's somewhat synonymous. Okay. Carolina says, it's ascertained that readers outweigh couch potatoes because they are more creative and have more language skills. To what degree do you support this argument? Yeah, very good, Carolina. I like the word creativity, and I like the use of some idioms there. Okay. Very good. Fan readers, I'm not sure, Carolina. I haven't heard that collocation, so careful with that. Romain says, in your opinion, how far do books succeed in furthering imagination and language performance in comparison to watching television? Right, Romain? So finish the idea. Rajveer says, certain individuals ascertain that people improve their imagination and linguistic abilities or prowess greatly through reading books rather than watching media content. Rajveer, I am so proud of the level of paraphrasing that you have achieved through the months of hard work that you're putting into these classes. It's fantastic. You will definitely reap the rewards of your hard work throughout your life. So well done. Abhishek says, a certain person, certain people have faith in that individuals who read books can increase creativity and language skills more than those who watch television. To what degree do you provision this position? Okay. Yeah, Abhishek, that's good. Just watch some of the wording there. Absolutely. So certain, let me just take this bold off. Certain individuals ascertain that avid readers can improve their creative thinking and linguistic abilities or aptitude, let's go with that one, more than those who opt for television. To what extent are you in favor of this position? All right. So there's my paraphrase. And Preeti Ois Hassan Jainil, I see your paraphrasings. They look fairly good to me at a glance. We'll keep moving today and really get ahead in the lesson. Certain individuals ascertain that avid readers can improve their creative thinking and linguistic aptitude more than those who opt for television. To what extent are you in favor of this position? Okay, so that's my paraphrase. And now we have our topic, we have our controlling idea, we know what we're talking about. Let's do a little bit of critical thinking. So what is developing imagination? And this is kind of a two-part topic here. So what does it mean to develop imagination? And this is an important question for learning and for life skills and IELTS in general, because imagination is quite important for IELTS. Janiel, avid reader is a person who is really into reading. They enjoy reading and they read lots. That would be an avid reader, Janiel. Somebody who reads a lot and enjoys reading. Avid. When you're avid, it means you're really into it and you're good at it. Okay? All right. So this is a good question to think about. So what is developing imagination? So what does that mean? And we actually have some lessons that deal with this on our websites in the key strategies for getting high scores in the IELTS exam, because having good imagination, we kind of refer to it as visualization, but it's visualization is partly imagination. So Rajveer says the ability to accurately visualize situations, okay? Yeah. Okay, so the ability to, just give me 1 second here. My camera is also trying to imagine what we're dealing with here. I'll turn that back on while you give me some more information. I think that's partly it. Okay. Abhishek says to creatively think means to help people think beyond or out of the box. Okay, how about this, Abhishek? So I'm on the same page as you, but I think here we need to keep with visual information, right? To visualize, it's very important, and you got a good one there, Abhishek, to visualize content from various perspectives. Yeah, that's definitely it, right? So when you can see an apple, not just from the side, but when you can see it from the top, the bottom, and you can see it from the inside when it's split open. So that's part of it as well, okay? All right, so to be able to visualize from different perspectives, that's kind of to think outside the box. Okay, it says the ability to imagine things in our deep mind. Okay, that's a little bit abstract for me, Ois, so you'll have to explain that more. Maksud says to the ability to produce and simulate ideas. Carolina says to clearly to create clarity when people express themselves, going a step further. Okay, all right, so I like these. So the ability to accurately visualize situations, to visualize content from various perspectives, and always remember the time variable. Okay, so to create visual images in detail quickly. Okay, speed is always an element of development, right? The faster that we can create those images, the more developed our visual prowess. Okay, absolutely. Okay, so that's definitely developing imagination. All right. What is developing linguistic skills or language skills? That's a very good question to ask for this writing task too, as well as for the IELTS exam and for learning languages. So, yeah, Amrita, for the previous one, I like what you're suggesting. Another way to say that, Amrita, is to visually interpret information from the reader or from the writer or from the TV, right? Okay, so what does it mean to develop language skills? What's included in that? In your mind, how would you define that if somebody were to ask you? And it's a very valid question. Rashika says literacy. Okay, literacy is the ability to read. That could be a part of language skills, and also to write. Okay, so to read and write is literacy. Rashika, try to be a little bit more detailed when you express yourself. So what do you mean by literacy? Okay, so Rajveer says the process of learning the basic building blocks of language, such as grammar, vocabulary, and communication. Okay, communication is a big bite in one word, I think. We might need to express that in a bit more detail, but to learn more vocabulary and grammar, that's definitely the basics of language skills, I would agree. Okay. Oh, it says the ability to learn language communications with other native languages is speaking and listening, reading and writing. Okay, so I like what you said there, Ois, with the ability to use language more dynamically with reading, listening, writing, speaking. Sure, so the 4 elements of language. Okay, to communicate in a structured way, yeah. Preeti, to improve vocabulary and communication skills. All right, Romain says to develop language skills, supposing a wide range of vocabulary, complex grammar structures, and a vivid ability to describe. Yeah, so I think one really important point, keep this one in mind, is to express ideas in many different ways. To paraphrase, to find, to know, and use the best language for an intended audience. Okay, that's the absolute pinnacle of language use, is when you can find and know the right words and right grammar for your intended audience. So you know who your audience is, and you can dynamically pick and choose the words and the way you express those words so that your audience has maximum absorption of that information. Okay. All right. So good. Okay. Let's do this a little bit differently now than thinking about the why and the how, why we want to do this or how we want to do this. Those are also very important. A question that I want to ask you here, and this is a question that you should be thinking about at some point in your planning, is what is the main difference, or maybe I'll ask it a little bit better, what are the main differences between acquiring information through reading versus television? Okay. So what would you say? Let's keep moving along here. Let's really develop this idea, and it's a really important one, I think, and hopefully this lesson today will also encourage people to read more, hint, hint. What are the main differences between acquiring information through reading versus through television? What is the biggest difference? If you had to summarize that in 3 words, how would you do it? Okay, I want you to really think simple here. Carolina says, watching TV is less effective for imagining. Visualize it. Visualize reading versus watching television. Okay, so Carolina says, watching TV is less effective for imagining visual scenarios and characters because everything is given to the spectator and people do not interact with the screen. Okay, Carolina. Keep thinking about that, Carolina, and simplify the concept into 3 words. Janelle says visual information the person catches easily and remembers a long time rather than reading. Abhishek says through TV we can hear and visualize pictures. Nick Hill says the main difference is while we're reading we are creating a picture but visualizing. Okay, I think everybody has some good ideas there. What I want you to do is think about just these missing words here. Let me help you a little bit here. Reading is. And this is what you want to do. Fill in the blanks, okay? We don't really need these words here. These are just here to help you, and I want you, again, to be creative. What are the missing words? There's 1 word missing here. There's 1 word missing here. What are the missing words? They're short words. Not a lot of... Yeah, very good, Rajveer. Can you give me both of the words, please? Because I know you have one of them and you've realized the difference here. Okay. Very good, Amrita. Very good. It's active versus passive. Which one is active? Reading or watching TV? Which one is arguably more active? Yeah, reading is active. That's right. And television is passive. Okay? So most of the time when we watch television, we do it passively. It requires very little effort on our part. We just need to keep our eyes and ears open. So reading is active. Television is passive. Okay. So clearly, when you're sitting the IELTS exam and you get a task 2 question like this, okay? Some people believe that people who read books can develop more imagination and language skills than those who prefer to watch TV. To what extent or to what degree do you support this opinion? When you get this question, you read it, you go through some of the steps of planning, topic, controlling idea. You think deeply about this question as well. And of course, what you're doing here is reading and literacy, right? So that's what you're doing here. IELTS does not include any television watching. Then those students, those candidates who are able to identify this very simplistic and important difference of reading as active versus television as passive have a huge advantage of getting a high band score for this essay versus a student who does not. Do you see that, members? So do you see that it's very important to get to this concept before you begin to write this essay? If you don't identify this concept, if you can't express this just in this way in the essay, you're significantly decreasing your chances of getting a higher band score with good content. Okay, you can still maybe get an okay score, but it's going to be much more challenging. Okay. So Rajveer says, yeah, it's crucial. It's crucial to identify that. Okay. So this is why you need to be calm, focused, and really figure it out. Okay. All right. So we're going to get right into the thesis here. Okay. So a thesis. Okay. So your thesis statement This is for all of our viewers. I know many of you know what this is, so start thinking about your thesis statement. Think about what we've discussed so far, okay? And while you're thinking about your thesis statement, members and many of our viewers who watch the class regularly, for those of you who are not sure what a thesis statement is, it is the position, or we can say in this case the argument of the author. In this case, that's you, which clearly shows the reader the content and structure of the essay. It is the last sentence or two of your introductory paragraph. Okay. For all of you who are not familiar with thesis statement and what that means, and understanding the difference between a direct and indirect thesis statement, please make sure to research that and learn it. A person who is not able to write a good thesis statement for the IELTS has a significantly lower chance of getting a good grade. Okay. All right, or a good band score. So, thesis statement for this. Maksud says, some individuals, including myself, strongly believe that reading books is more beneficial than watching TV, as it can not only advance communication skills, but also fantasy. Okay, I would kind of ask the question here, Maksud, of why. I think you can clearly state your position in your thesis, Maksud, and then answer for me the question of why. Okay? Okay? So think about that. All right? Now, remember the way the question is worded, students, when you're doing this. So, to what extent are you in favor of this position? That's my paraphrase. The original one is, to what degree do you support this opinion? So that should be clear in your thesis, to what degree. Okay. All right, Ois says, I believe the best way to develop imagination and improve language skills is through reading, and it is effective in our mind more than watching TV. Why, Ois? So tell me what are going to be the reasons why books are more effective. Okay, so Rajveer says, I strongly believe that individuals can learn creative thinking and linguistic prowess greatly through reading, more than watching television, because the former is active learning and the latter is passive learning. Okay, very good, Rajveer. That will be an essay. Hassan says, watching TV can develop human imagination to some degree and be enjoyable as well. However, others, including myself, believe that reading books can have more advantages to develop imagination due to active learning. Very good. Okay, Hassan, I can see your essay. Watch your word form. It's not advantageous. It's just more advantages. Or if you want to use it that way, Hassan, then you need to change the grammar a little bit. Believe that reading books is more advantageous. Okay, Hassan? So reading books is more advantageous. So you have the correct grammar form. Okay. Carolina says, I support the idea that individuals who read books can develop more imagination and language skills because it develops active learning. Yeah, Carolina, not bad. You're just missing the television element. So you want to show that contrast in this case, right? So I am strongly in favor of the idea that reading books develops both more creativity and language than watching television because it is active and detailed. All right. So here we go, students. I'm strongly in favor of the idea that reading books develops both more creativity and language than watching television because it is active and detailed. All right, now we haven't talked about the second point yet, detailed. Okay, we just talked about active. However, you can build an essay without this point. I just quickly kind of went through some more planning in my head and thought, why not come up with 2 reasons why I think that books are better than television? Okay. Janelle says active and comprehensive. I like that word even more, Janelle. So you know what? I'm going to take that from you. Thank you. Yeah, detailed is good. Comprehensive is better. Better vocabulary too, Janelle. So I like it. Thanks for sharing. All right. So I'm going to stick with that. And with that, we can start our introductory paragraph. Now, as we get into the introductory paragraph, when you're thinking about these, keep in mind, students, that when you have one reason for it being better, there's usually a second and third reason, and there's usually a couple of good ones. So if you don't want to go the direction of saying, well, television's okay, but it's passive, people are not involved, and you're thinking, that might just go in one paragraph with passive versus active, then try to think of that second reason. Okay, give me a second here. This camera's falling asleep again. I'm going to switch this one to another camera next time. That's a light little break from the intensity of the flow anyway. Okay, so where there's one reason, there's always a second and a third reason most of the time. Okay, keep that in mind. So where there's one reason, there's usually a second and third reason most of the time. In this case, I think it's true as well. How do you think I came up with the idea of comprehensive? What do you think I visualized to come up with the idea of comprehensive before we get into writing the hook? Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if any of you caught that, or if you kind of thought about, oh yeah, that's probably what Adrian thought of when he came up with the idea of comprehensive. So active and comprehensive. Okay. What do you think I was visualizing there? What comparison came to mind to come up with that solid second point for another paragraph? Okay. What do you think it was? What was it? Oh, it says, person living among books can solve big issues. Abhishek says, a lot of words. Not quite Abhishek, but kind of close. Cool, Milind. Thank you. Nope. So here I'm always, when I'm comparing 2 points, I'm always visualizing both of them. Okay. Rajveer says, reading is detailed and videos are crisp. Nah, not quite. I'll tell you what it was. Okay. What I visualized when I came up with comprehensive. Never spelled Da Vinci. Anyway. And I think Carolina, or somebody said this a little bit earlier, that there's a lot more character development, right? So when you're visualizing this, and I'm sure many of you have had this situation where you read the book and you watched the movie and you were kind of disappointed because you didn't feel the characters nearly as much, right? So when you read the book, you really got to know the characters, their thoughts, what they did. But when you watch the movie, they just seemed kind of shallow. Well, that's because it was very quick, right? You can't get someone to sit in front of a movie for 10 hours straight, although we do that nowadays with Netflix sometimes with TV series. But anyway, with books, we tend to hang in there a lot longer, and it takes us quite a bit more time to get through it than the movie, right? So that's kind of the visualization that came to me, and that's where I was thinking, yeah, books seem to be a little bit more comprehensive. We get more involved, right? So there's more to the characters. There's more description, the scenes. There's often more happening, where in the TV they take out scenes which seem boring or unnecessary. Okay, so introductory paragraph. Let's go with the hook. Okay, so hook, just a simple, interesting comment, and I think I saw a couple there already. So remember, it should be about, just as a general rule, I mean, you can write a longer hook, but I think for the IELTS, keep it about 8 to 12 words. Okay, a simple worldly fact, okay, that catches the reader and introduces the topic. Keep that in mind. Okay, hint, hint. So, reading provides clear direction. I don't think that's your hook, Maksud, or it shouldn't be. Carolina, it's great skill when we are reading. It shouldn't be a hook either. Okay. Maksud says, it is difficult to imagine our lives without either books or TV. Maksud, that's off topic. Carolina says, scientists demonstrate that watching TV for long hours causes laziness. I think it's off topic, Carolina. Very good, Rajveer. Rajveer says, imagination and language skills assist to enrich human experiences. That is a beautiful hook, Rajveer. That's your top level band 9 hook. Remember what your topic is, everyone. Remember what your topic is. It's not actually reading and television. Those are the controlling ideas that we introduce later. Okay? So Ois says, the human brain as a dough is stimulated easily and develops an effect of the environments and surroundings. Ois, way too general. Okay? Topic. The hook is including the topic. Okay? For now. It's really important to keep it that way. Abhishek says, imagination and language skill sets are an integral part of being human. Abhishek, of being human. Of individuals is okay, Abhishek. Of being human, I think, is even more, right? Because that's two of our very unique assets that make us different from the rest of the living world, is our ability to imagine and to communicate using language. I think, Abhishek, that you're absolutely on the right track, though, okay? So you're on the right track, just express it a little bit better. Janil says, nowadays people have more different types of sources to develop their imagination and language than in the past. Janil, I think you're on the right track too, but you need to add the topic, okay? Keep it simple and short. Hassan says, developing the imagination is done on a daily basis through various sources. Yeah, very good. So Hassan, you're hinting at the controlling ideas, but you're focusing on the topic, right? So the development of language and imagination is done daily through various sources, right, Hassan? So the development of language and imagination is done daily through various interactions. How about that one? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's our 12 count hook. Okay. That's building from your hook, Hassan. So you had the right idea, Hassan. I just tweaked it a little bit with more language. Okay. Carolina, that is leading your thesis. So don't lead your thesis with your hook. Okay. Reading for pleasure can develop imagination and language skills more than watching TV. You're starting with your argument. Don't start your essay with your argument, because in the real world, especially Carolina, it's too immediate for a reader. Okay, so the reader might be like, oh, I agree with you, and I'll keep reading, or what? This isn't my thing. I'm going to leave it. So you want to ease your reader into your argument. Okay, this is kind of like a psychological strategy that you want to use to convince your audience without aggressively opening with the argument or with the idea. If you watch really famous speakers, Carolina, they generally befriend the crowd first. So they say something funny, they say something personable, charismatic. They don't open with their argument usually. They don't open with their argument like, okay, everybody, stop smoking today. So that's kind of like, what? But no. So you want to kind of just ease them into it. Okay. Strategy. It's it's debate strategy, or the strategy of rhetoric, as our Greek fathers would have said. Okay, Romain says, reading is over watching TV in activating our imagination and enriching our language range. Romain, that is your thesis. Thesis. Okay, let's get into our background. Okay, so give me some definitions here of what's going on, all right? Introduce the controlling idea. You can give the importance of the discussion here. So maybe 2 sentences for the background here. Keep it simple. Keep it clear. Okay. So what is this? So the development of language and imagination is done daily through various interactions. Give me some background. Maybe start leading into the controlling ideas. Express why it's so important. Okay. So, okay, I'm giving you a little bit of silence so you can think. Try not to read what I'm writing, only near the end. Okay. Rajveer says individuals can gain linguistic skills and creative thinking through various means, such as the internet, books, literature, and television. Rajveer, internet, books, literature, those aren't separate. Okay, I can read a book on the internet. Literature is a book. Okay, television is a bit different. All right. And television and the internet can be the same as well. So careful not to introduce confusing elements that overlap. Okay. In writing, we're always trying to be mutually exclusive with our ideas, not inclusive. Okay, you might know this from mathematics, being mutually exclusive or inclusive in your equations. Okay, so careful with that. All right, otherwise you'll create a lot of confusion. Okay. All right. And of course comes the thesis. All right, Ois. Says people try to develop their brains and ability to think critically and develop whether the original language or foreign language is listening and watching TV. Also, they read books. Okay, Ois, rather than, okay, it's not bad. It's not bad. Ask yourself the question, what is language? What is developing language? What is developing creative thinking? So remember, students, that for the background, you don't have to get too fancy. Just think of your planning stage. What is developing imagination? What is developing language skills? So try to think about those and use those elements. Don't overthink it. Okay? Hassan says, developing both language and imagination acquire a lot of input from many sources, such as TV and books, and it takes a lot of daily practice to enhance such skills. Yeah, that works, Hassan. And this process starts from childhood. Yeah, you don't need to write to maturity, Hassan. That's understood, right? It starts from childhood until sometime in the future, right? Okay. Students, this is what I wrote here. Take a look. Here is the full introduction. Okay. Read with me. So, the development of language and imagination is done daily through various interactions. The ability to learn broad vocabulary and grammar for clear communication, as well as to visualize and manipulate information in the mind's eye, are some of the most advanced human abilities. For the past several centuries, most people in society improved their creativity and linguistic skills through literature. However, in recent decades, there has been a major shift to television. Nevertheless, I am strongly in favor of the idea that reading books develops both more creativity and language than watching television because it is active and comprehensive. Okay, so that's what happens for the introduction, and now we'll be able to go on to body 1 and body 2. Now that I read the introduction, I probably could simplify it a little bit. There's a little bit of redundancy, a little bit of maybe over-explanation, but it works. Okay, that would be considered a Band 9 introduction for sure. Okay, it gives a lot of clarity to the reader of what we're discussing, why we're discussing it, and what direction we're going with. Okay, so when you read your introduction, members, that's kind of what you need to think about whether or not it's a good introduction. So is it a good introductory paragraph to an essay? Okay. Ask these questions. What are you discussing? So let me say it this way. A good introductory paragraph should clearly answer the questions for the reader. What are you discussing? Why are you discussing it? What is your position and direction? Okay. If you want your reader, especially in the real world, to continue reading, all of these questions should be clearly answered for them in your introductory paragraph in a clear, simple, concise way. Okay? So keep that in mind. Okay? What are you discussing? Why are you discussing it? And what is your position and direction? Okay? Keep that in mind. All right, students, in about 40 minutes, we have listening, part 1, part 2 practice, and some strategy coming up. Members, keep it up. I know often and push people, and I'm just here to prove that. So for everybody watching, check us out at help.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Preeti, I'll catch it next time. Make sure you're here tomorrow. Repeat it for me when we review the introduction, and then I'll read it then, okay? Jainil, you're welcome. Carolina, lovely to have you in the class. Hassan, Rajveer, great job with those sentences. Good job. Amrita, excellent contributions today. See you all in about 40 minutes. I'm Adrian signing out from Budapest for now. Bye.